Now the other big story we're working on tonight, the toxic impact on the Treasure Coast from the ongoing release of polluted water from Lake Okeechobee. New at 6 o'clock, we focus on just how dangerous this is and how long it may last. News Channel 5's Jeff Skripek spent the day out on the water with researchers and an underwater camera searching for some answers. Jeff?
Well, some would say it already looks bad out here on the surface, but to really understand the problem, take a look at what it looks like below it. Bright green clumps of algae that researchers out here say is not only harmful to animals and humans, but can be very difficult to get rid of. Careful to protect his hands, researcher Dr. Brian LaPointe at the Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute scoops up a jar of what he calls green goo.
This is an organism out of place. It should not be in the St. Lucie estuary.
But LaPointe says these clumps of algae and bacteria could be floating around for a while.
Public outcry on the Treasure Coast as hundreds of people had their concerns heard over the toxic water on the Treasure Coast.
That meeting just wrapped up 45 minutes ago. Business owners and families spent 7 hours trying to come up with a solution. Today, we're digging deeper into people's concerns about the possible health effects.
Take a look at a map right now. It shows you the scope of the problem that we're dealing with. Lake Okeechobee there, then the canals running to the east and dumping the water into the estuary, into the Indian River Lagoon, and beyond. The solutions, everybody wishes they'd flow as quickly as the water's flowing behind me out of the St. Lucie Lock. That's not to be, but we'll explore all of that over the next hour and a half, and a special report coming up at 5:30. For now, a bird's eye view of the problem that we're dealing with. My colleague Dan Krauth high above in Chopper 5 over the Roosevelt Bridge. Dan?
Michael, there is no better view of this problem than the view we are bringing to you right now. We are hovering 1,000 feet above the Roosevelt Bridge right now over the St. Lucie River. And take a look at our chopper cam video as we follow that white line, which we believe is a result of the toxic algae bloom as it goes across the river and butts up to the homes of the people living near these waterways in this area.
National attention for this, the toxic water on the Treasure Coast, now in D.C. for everyone to see, for the federal lawmakers to see. After all, they are the ones who will vote whether to spend almost $1 billion to fix our water problem.
We just received word that a law enforcement officer has been shot and killed.
The two vehicles, the suspect vehicle there, the orange one, has right side damage, as you can see. I'll get it right in there. A sad scene here. It's right outside of the AmeriGas building.
A live news conference right now at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Ken Mascara detailing a horrible tragedy this morning, the death of one of his deputies. Let's listen in.
I don't have to tell everybody here what a sad day it is for our Sheriff's Office family. We lost one of our heroes today.
Killed in the line of duty tonight, a community is mourning the loss of Sergeant Gary Morales, a 13-year veteran of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office, killed in a senseless act of violence. Sergeant Morales shot and killed before he even had a chance to react. An exemplary deputy who leaves behind a wife and 2 daughters.
Each and every day we go to work and we hope and pray days like this never happen.
Tonight, questions remain. Who is this man? And what led up to the cold-blooded murder of a deputy? Tonight, investigators are combing through the evidence, trying to answer some of those questions.
A tough task as they deal with the emotional fallout of losing one of their own. We have live team coverage across the Treasure Coast, from new details about the suspect to the life of Sergeant Morales and the dangers law enforcement face every day.
Friends becoming more and more worried. The Bach Middle School nurse last texted her daughter Sunday night around 7. Her car and personal belongings still at the house, but she is gone. Everyone says Kimberly would never just disappear.
She would walk on glass to get to her kids. They meant the world to her.
Good evening, everyone. We have breaking news. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office has positively identified the body found in Hendry County as that of missing Bach Middle School nurse Kimberly Lindsay.
Discovered stranded on Tuesday deep inside the Everglades National Park, 51 pilot whales, at least 10 of which are dead, now at extreme risk.
We're concerned that the longer this goes on, that we may not be able to save the pod.
I went into the water right here yesterday here at Carlin Park. This is the area where 3 people were pulled away from shore yesterday by rip currents. today I got pulled away from shore as well.
Just put your head under these waves, okay?
With flags out urging me not to swim,
This is where it starts to pull.
I did what some dared to do, thinking they'll be okay.
What's weird is you're still almost where you can stand up. So yeah, it just your leg away. It knocks your legs out from under you.
After swimming a little further out, it did just that.
It's almost like you don't have control of your legs.
Having done a triathlon before, I know how to swim, but when the river...
Okay?
I still needed help from the lifeguard.
Talking about climate change. It has become a highly politicized topic for sure, but the data and the impact are in fact real. We have devoted a lot of resources today to this topic. Michael Williams just left this conference we're talking about. Steve Weigel will show us the global evidence before us. Alex Sands is looking at the hurdles we face, and Marissa Bagg toured a green home here in Florida today. But let's begin tonight right now with Michael Williams in Jupiter.
Good evening to you along this little slice of paradise on Jupiter Beach, but trouble ahead. And just about a mile up the road, climate experts, Palm Beach County leading the way.
What you're watching is a series of crash tests for guardrails. Those metal beams running along so many Florida roadways are supposed to save lives. In 2010, a guardrail punctured the floorboard of this truck near Lakeland, Florida.
This is razor sharp.
The guardrail sliced through the 18-year-old passenger's leg.
Okay. The guy went right through the guardrail, and it went right through the middle of his car.
Last year in Ohio, this car was pierced by a metal beam.
Trapped inside the car. Actually, I think she's impaled.
And in 2008, a mother in Tennessee died when a guardrail cut straight through the front of her SUV. All of the crashes involve the same kind of guardrail, manufactured by Trinity Industries. The company made about a 1-inch change, shortening this, the feeder chute. Some engineers believe that is causing the beams to behave like spears instead of collapsing properly.
Seeing my children and seeing my youngest pinned in his seatbelt upside down and not being able to get to him or help him.
What was he saying?
Screaming. He wasn't saying anything. He was just screaming. He was in a lot of pain.
In this letter, Florida transportation officials specifically asked Trinity whether any unauthorized changes had been made to its product. Trinity's response? There have been no major design changes.
We think that there is a very large cover-up when you have 80 to 90% of the marketplace worldwide and you make a lot of money. Sometimes companies such as that feel that they can do whatever they want to do.
The guardrail is supposed to save lives, not destroy them. That one saves lives, that one destroys lives. Take the wrong ones out, put the right ones in before this happens to another family and another family and another child and destroys more lives.
This is Leviticus Taylor's final jail conversation with his then girlfriend, Sadie Welker. What happens during this talk not only caught us off guard, but the Indian River County Sheriff, who after seeing it is saying changes have to be made.
2 inmates remain on the loose.
These are bad men. They will be arrested.
It was a cunning and daring escape
The sheriff is calling Reed armed and possibly dangerous.
that made national headlines.
It was a very elaborate scheme, very time-consuming scheme.
During the midnight hour of October 24, 2011, cellmates Leviticus Taylor and Rondell Reed managed to saw, climb, and dig their way out of the Indian River County Jail. Within 1 week, this criminal duo was back in custody. Now, 18 months later,
I said, I miss you.
I miss you too.
the Contact 5 investigators are revealing the missed clues, warning authorities an escape was about to go down. This is the Jail Visitation Center. It's here where visitors can speak with inmates. 4 days before the escape, Leviticus Taylor's girlfriend sat down for a visit. But it's what happened next, now raising new concerns a year and a half after this escape. What begins as a conversation between two lovebirds
I'm almost finished writing that song I wrote you.
takes a conniving turn about 7.5 minutes in. Taylor looks around.
What you doing this weekend?
30 seconds later, he asks Welker another question. And so it begins and lasts about 20 seconds.
N-G.
We asked nationally certified sign language interpreter Amy Hare O-U-T. To weigh in.
He didn't say am. He said I getting out.
No question.
No question.
So do you know what Levi Taylor's trying to say there?
I do not. Apparently it is some type of signal or some type of sign language hybrid.
According to sign language experts, what he just signed there are the words I getting out. What's your reaction to actually seeing that and now understanding what exactly he said 4 days before the escape?
Shocked, very shocked.
Why?
Shocked because that perhaps could have, had we slowed down, had the opportunity to interpret what he said, that could have prevented the escape.
2 minutes after Taylor's first message, he does it again. This time, even saying it.
Out.
Welker responds with her own message.
Look, you want to see mine? Look, it's a heart.
So the million-dollar question is, how did it get by you guys?
When you look at managing, at that time, over 500 inmates for a variety of things and trying to concentrate on a variety of issues, not only specific to the jail, but all over the entire county, I think that it's unfortunate, but these things, unfortunately, are going to happen.
During our interview, Sheriff Lohr confessed that he had never heard about this sign language video, much less seen it until we showed him. So this is brand new information to you.
It is, as of an hour ago, brand new.
But he says it's enough to prompt even more changes to a jail that has already recently undergone a series of them.
Tonight, one victim's story of triumph.
She is a local mom changing laws in Washington for rape victims. It is a tale of survival that will never leave you and a fight for others that will inspire you.
To see her in action, Julie Weil looks like an everyday mom. Her life story, though, is far more complicated. Her world as a busy mother of two shattered 11 years ago.
It was completely devastating. It was very brutal.
He told you
Yes.
he was looking for a woman with children.
With children, because it makes you the perfect hostage. No mother is going to leave her child under any circumstances for anything. He raped me several times while my daughter sat within feet of me, and he forced her to watch every minute of the beatings and the rapes. He said to her at one point, "What did your mother do that made God so mad that he hates your family this much?"
Though Julie had wiped away most of the evidence in her van, a tiny piece of the rapist's DNA was found on Julie's shirt. 6 months later, when police were called to a domestic violence scene involving suspect Michael Siebert, his DNA matched Julie's shirt and several rape cases before hers. At the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the Contact 5 investigators found there are 60 rape kits that are not in line for testing. St. Lucie County found 92. Martin counted 51. And Okeechobee County has 5 sitting on shelves in storage.
The DNA matched the DNA from another crime.
Julie has taken her story to Capitol Hill. Her testimony pushed a bill that became law and now pushes money to agencies with untested rape kits.
It seems like a lot of work and it seems like a lot of money. But when you consider what you're doing to prevent future harm and to get justice for a family, it's invaluable.
I covered her up with a black bag and a piece of burlap sack so the dirt wouldn't go in her face. And then I said a little prayer and then I left.
Right now, the chilling account of the man who says he witnessed the death of 10-year-old Andrea Parsons in Martin County nearly 2 decades ago.
Tonight, Claude Davis is speaking out, and Jeff Skrypek joins us with a story you'll see only on 5. Jeff?
Well, Kelly and Michael, a murder suspect is behind bars tonight in the cold case of Andrea Parsons, but Claude Davis won't be. Charges against him were dropped nearly 20 years ago for lack of evidence. Laws against double jeopardy protect him now, so Davis says he's helping investigators and talking tonight about Parsons' disappearance and death. Claude Davis is a convicted child molester. His mobile home in a Stewart trailer park is home for the 76-year-old. He sits alone most nights watching TV and says he often replays in his mind the moment 10-year-old Andrea Parsons died.
Well, it's something I have to live with every day, yes. It's going to be worse now because the older you get, the more your mind bothers you, the more your brain agitates you. And you look back on your life and you see where you are today, and you hate it.
For no bond, and I have the detective here.
Chester Price is now charged with Parsons' murder and kidnapping. Davis claims he was with Price that July day in 1993 when their paths crossed with Parsons. She was walking home from a Port Salerno store, and Davis says she asked them for a ride.
I told her no, that I didn't think her mother would like her going home with somebody that she didn't know. And I don't know why they're coming up with this deal that we kidnapped her.
Davis recalls that Parsons was in the back of the vehicle. He says Price was too. Davis sheds no light on precisely what motive or impulse triggered the child's death.
I heard a commotion back there, and I heard the bump. That was when he hit her, and that's when her lights went out.
Now, the arrest of a murder suspect in this Martin County cold case has Andrea's mom speaking out. I traveled to the Panhandle to talk with Linda Parsons about her child. Linda Parsons has taken many quiet walks over the past 19 years.
I guess the hardest part sometimes for me is at night.
Andrea, her baby, is never far from her mind.
I remember curling her hair for the school picture. She wanted her hair curly that day.
A few old photos and memories of happier times are all Linda has.
They loved climbing that tree there. It's right outside of where we lived.
1 week after this picture was taken, her 10-year-old Andrea vanished.
Tonight, urgent news from Port Salerno, Florida, where a massive search is underway for a missing 10-year-old girl.
I wake up every morning. It's July 11th, 1993.
With a fistful of pennies, Andrea walked to this store for candy. It was 2 blocks from her Port Salerno home. She never returned. You were at work that night, right?
Yeah, I always close the Winn-Dixie Deli down, and they close at 10.
When she got home, the look on her boyfriend's face said everything.
I knew instantly something was wrong.
The search for Andrea began immediately and didn't stop for months.
I get the chills just talking about it. I was in shock back then. Please bring my kid home. Let her come home.
These search pictures, I mean, you must remember this like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I do. I remember them draining the pond and digging up lots of places and sifting through dirt. And they've dug up a lot of places in Martin County.
No trace of Andrea has ever been found.
Her mother Linda's with us in the studio. It has been 6 months. Do you still have hope?
Yes, Oprah, I do.
Oprah, America's Most Wanted, the networks, all wanted to talk to Linda after Andrea's disappearance. I can't believe you're still standing.
Well, sometimes I can't believe it either. And I probably wouldn't be, like I said, without my family.
I'm Michael Williams, live at Glades Central High, and I'm with a young superstar, 5-year-old Taranza McKelvin, who just led the Glades High School band, and what a great job they did. Taranza, did you have a good time?
Yes.
Now, where are you heading? I understand you just did a taped interview with Ellen. It's going to be on tomorrow, and where did she invite you to go?
California.
But it's out of the classroom here at Betty Lou's home that she has a truly unique hobby. Why don't you take a seat and find out?
And the community does look. They come over and they look. People pass, they look.
Along Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, Betty Lou has a collection of the tufted, the tiny, and the triplicate.
I never counted the chairs, never. Now you got something, and I'm a math teacher. I need to count my chairs.
Dozens at least.
It's all rusty, almost broken.
Seated at the perimeter of her yard.
I just keep these.
Acquired through decades.
This was my mother, Mercedes Paulin's chair. She was a cosmetologist.
Each with a life of its own.
As you can see, that chair over there is all tore up, but it means something to me.
And while they're a gathering place...
Oh, yes. I have a lot of company sometimes.
The way Betty sees it, they're more. They're the archives of her ancestry.
They just reminded me of my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt. Let's hurry up and get to class.
Each one a person who inspired her to teach.
The chairs to me say, educate the mind, no matter who sits in it. Because at one time we have all sat in one of these chairs.
In Palm Beach County, Ashley Walters, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Wonderful story.